And we're dealing with our theme this month, which is safe in God's presence. And our theme is love as safety. And boy, this was a week of thinking about safety a lot. How many of you got evacuated this week? Yeah, all right. Scary, very scary. And I have a cousin in Santa Rosa who lost her home. I have friends in Santa Rosa who don't know if they've lost their home. They're still in Marin County waiting to find out if they can go home. So we're very grateful to the firefighters for their valiant efforts to save lives, to save homes. You know, the thing is when we hear, 5,700 structures destroyed, that's a statistic. Your home destroyed is a tragedy. Your home destroyed is a tragedy. But it's stuff. It is stuff. And it's precious stuff. It's family photos, it's little rewards, baby teeth, and who knows what else we hang on to in our lives. And yet, the important thing is that we survive, that people came through it. In Marin County right now, and probably in Sonoma as well, there is a sign posted everywhere that says, "The love in the air is thicker than the smoke." The love in the air is thicker than the smoke. Because we have had an opportunity to see people at their best, plunging in to help one another. We had Dina and Vicky let Katie stay in their home for several days with her dogs and rescued her chickens. Went back and ran around trying to catch the chickens. And people were working at the fairgrounds. I know Roger had volunteered his truck at the fairgrounds. People were helping out with all the animals at the fairgrounds. People were opening their homes. We have a bookkeeper who's leaving and a bookkeeper in training, and both of them had invited people into their home, friends and family. And so like in a 2-bedroom apartment, they had 6 people, 6 dogs, 3 cats, 2 birds, and a gerbil or something. It was like, that's compassion. That is compassion. So people opening their homes, people realizing and recognizing our oneness and our support of one another in community. And Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen wrote something which I posted in Facebook, but since not all of you have Facebook, I wanted to read this. And all I could do was print out the page in Facebook, so it's very tiny, tiny. That's why I have to put the glasses on. Let us each, according to our own faith tradition, let go of everything else for just this moment and enter into the consciousness of gratitude for first responders and helpers everywhere, whether Northern California, Las Vegas, Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico. Let us abandon all other considerations for just a moment and center our attention on appreciation for those who serve. And let us, through our joint meditation of gratitude, abandon anything that separates us and feel instead our unity with each other. And let that felt experience of unity keep fresh before us this particular moment of high resolve, so that in the months and years to come, we will not abandon our memory of that which has been given to so many through service. May we stay rooted in mindfulness with open hearts to those who are struggling, wherever they may be emotionally, so that we remain a safe harbor for their experience. And may our contemplation of gratitude inspire us to give and to be kind and to trust the capacity humankind has to be loving. I invite you, in a moment of personal quietness, to visualize a Northern California in which all people live according to the spiritual truth of their understanding, where humanity continues to awaken to its magnificence, where we live as one family with kinship with all life, and where unity and connection continue to guide us through to the experience of peace. Continue to guide us through to the experience of peace. I had an experience of fire last week at the ministers' conference. I did a fire walk, and that is we blessed the wood. In fact, we sang that song, "O Great Spirit," as we blessed the wood with sage, and then we built a structure about 12 feet long of logs, and logs this way, and logs that way, and logs this way, and stuffed with straw, and then piled with logs around the edge, and we lit it on fire, and then we went in and built little prayer necklaces. We had little pieces of cloth with the colors of the chakras, and we put a little tobacco in there, which is a Native American spiritual gift. And so we put that into each cloth, and we held it to our heart. We prayed on the qualities associated with that particular chakra, whether it was love or whether it was wisdom or whatever it was. We prayed for that opening to our hearts to that greater experience. Then we tied it with a string, and then we had colored bags with all the different colors tied together in a string, and then we wore that as a necklace and went down to the fire. Now, I was not going to walk the fire. My intention was just to support the people who were walking the fire. But as I was there, watching different people go through the fire, I realized that I'm approaching a shift in my life, a change, because I have given my notice that I'm not renewing my contract, and so we're looking for a new minister, and so I don't know what's going to unfold for me. And so I wanted to walk the fire to just realize that I am more than the physical circumstance. And the thing about walking fire, walking across coals, is that you cannot look at the coals. You do not look at the obstacle. You look at John Waterhouse on the other side, dressed in white, with a big smile on his face, ready to give you a big old hug. And you keep your mind on that, and you walk through the fire and receive your embrace. And you are not burned. I was not burned. I did make sure they rinsed my feet really well after I stepped off the fire, because sometimes the little embers can get caught in your toesies. So, but no burn. No burn. And that fire is hot. As he says, it's hot enough to melt an aluminum engine. So, it's not a nothing thing to do. And it is about overcoming your fear and realizing that we are more than that. We are more than the physical obstacles that present themselves. So that is what is important for us to think about in this realization of the devastation that we've experienced. That yes, it is going to take time. And yes, it is a long process. And yes, we have a vision of the other side. And we keep our eyes on that vision. We keep our eyes on that recognition of community that was so apparent in this disaster, in this situation, of people coming together to help one another. So we keep that essence of community before us. And we're not afraid to reach out to help each other. Like the rock guy. You know, he doesn't want to get hurt. Why? Because he's been hurt. I just think about, you know, there's a whole bunch of people who have PTSD. You know, getting awoken in the middle of the night and told you have to run for your life is going to create a traumatic experience in you. I have to tell the story of Andy's father. Andy Clark's dad is in Santa Rosa. He's 88 years old. They came at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they said to him, "Can you drive?" Now, he's 88. He hasn't driven at night for 15 years. And he said, "I can if I have to." So they gave him the keys to the car that this belonged to this woman. So the woman and 2 other women and him took off in the car. Now remember, the power's out, no street lights. You're trying to find your way to a place you've never been. So he gets lost, but he finds a policeman. And the policeman tells him how to get to where he needs to go. And he gets there. So, you know, he had the wherewithal to do what he needed to do, even when he didn't know he could. Because there's something greater in us that gets activated when we say, "Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can do this." And he did. And I can't help thinking about the people in Iraq and the people in Syria who've been going through this stuff for years. Bombing, shooting, devastation beyond our imagining, over and over and over. And I open in compassion. So what can I do? What can I do? I mean, I can send money to the United Nations relief funds and things of that nature. But what I can do in consciousness, knowing that we are all connected in consciousness, right? We are all one in consciousness. What I can do is the Buddhist practice of Tonglen. We breathe in the pain and we transform it. We breathe out love. So let's just do that for a moment. Let's think of the devastation and we bring it in, we breathe in that pain, and we know it's transformed, and we breathe out love. We breathe in the pain. We breathe out healing. We breathe in the suffering. We breathe out peace. We breathe in the constraints and constrictions, and we breathe out the freedom and the newness. This is the power we have, the power of transformation. So that whenever you're watching the news and you get to that feeling of pain coming up in ourselves, we get that feeling of, oh my God, this is so terrible. We have to breathe in and breathe out love. Breathe out healing. So we remember these practices. We remember that we can do this transformative experience. We can have a different realization of our oneness and our wholeness. Our book this month is called Undefended Love. And it's really about how each of us had an experience, perhaps in our childhood, where we thought that we weren't perfect, that we were cracked. She calls it our cracked identity. And our cracked identity is that we feel, I'm unacceptable, my needs are too much, I'm not good enough, I'm deficient, I'm a burden, I'm boring, I'm worthless, I'm unworthy, I don't belong, I don't matter, blah, 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 blah. We have all had some kind of family or educational experience or other kid playing, I don't know about you, I was always the last one chosen for the softball game, we've all had our moments where we knew we were deficient or defective in some way. And so what we do when we have that experience is, they say we build a compensatory identity. So that is our cracked identity. And then we build a compensatory energy, a compensatory identity that we then embrace to show the world that we're more than that. So, if I'm not good at sports, well, I'm going to be good at school. I'm going to get the A's. I'm going to get the master's degree. I'm going to show them because I'll be good at this. So I will compensate somehow. But what they're encouraging is that we look beyond our compensatory identity and beyond our cracked identity and realize our essential identity, which is that entity of the divine, that entity that is peace, that is worthy, that is whole, that is lovable, that is creative, that is filled with harmony and connection, that allows us to connect with one another, to be vulnerable, and to let go of our fear of being loving and intimate with one another. And I'm not talking about having sex with people. I'm talking about having a friendliness with one another. I just saw a movie the other night on Netflix called Our Souls at Night. And it's with Jane Fonda and Robert Redford. And it's about this couple that's in their 70s. And he's a widower and she's a widow. And she just comes over one night and says, I am really lonely. Could we sleep together? And I says, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about just laying in bed, talking to each other. That's what she missed the most, was having somebody to just be there, to have a conversation about the day and about what matters and how you're feeling. And, what a brave and courageous thing to do, to say, I really need this in my life. How about it? And he's like, what the heck? Okay. But it turns out to be a really deep experience for both of them, this ability to just connect and share and talk about the truths that have been hidden and the secrets that they've kept for so long, and to be able to just share in a way that enriches both their lives. So it's important for us to realize that our love is stronger than our fear. And it was love that carried me across those coals to Dr. John's waiting arms. It's love that gets us working together to get through any disaster, any kind of setback. We can do this together. We say we're joyfully co-creating beloved community, and that's what it's about, is loving each other through whatever comes up. So let us do our affirmation today. And our affirmation is, my love is stronger than my fear. My love is stronger than my fear. My love is stronger than my fear. And because we are setting up a consciousness for the new minister, I would invite you to pull out of your bulletin the new minister covenant. And next week we'll have it up on the screen as well. But we're establishing the consciousness of the law of attraction that brings to us the perfect minister for this community, to grow it, to enrich it, to enliven it, to inspire everyone in a greater way. So, we start out reading together. God has promised, so powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. Purpose. My new minister is the unity that I am. I see my new minister empowering our thriving spiritual community. The universal intentions for my new minister are to inspire me to live in unity as an expression of love, to awaken me to the wisdom within, to embody the consciousness of wholeness in community and organizational well-being. My community intentions for my new minister are to offer mystical teachings that illuminate the science of mind principles, to be a loving and beneficial presence in the greater community in support of social activism. And so it is.